Welcome to Pod Me If You Can, I'm David Farrell. Today on the show, we're discussing this obscure film from 1987. It's called Forever Lulu, aka Crazy Streets. Stars Alec Baldwin, Hanna Schygulla, and Deborah Harry, the singer from Blondie.
Pardon me if you can. Movie reviews.
Elaine, Hanna Schygulla, a struggling novelist living in New York, takes a film writing job for a porno. She's told, "We need the script tomorrow night, we shoot this weekend." She's robbed and swindled multiple times and encapsulates the starving artist. Elaine accidentally becomes involved with the violent underworld crime elements in New York City and becomes a target when she steals a briefcase from a crime scene containing $500,000 and drugs. Alec Baldwin plays Buck, a cop who doesn't see the trouble she's in until she's over her head. So, Crazy Streets, aka Forever Lulu from 1987. IMDb really spoils this one. In the description it says, Alec Baldwin plays a cop that is pursuing her killers. So you spend the whole time watching to see when she will be killed. And she's not. She's never killed. So it's wrong on IMDb, or it's at least deceptive. The people pursuing her are killers, but they haven't killed her, and therefore become killers. So it's odd. This is yet another one of those attempts we've seen where, in retrospect, the big star was in a supporting role, and therefore you change the artwork, and sometimes change the name of the film to Crazy Streets in this case. And as you can see, this is definitely a picture of Alec Baldwin from around 2000, and Deborah Harry. But he doesn't look at all like that in the film. He looks very clean-cut and fresh-faced and tall and thin. Hanna Schygulla does her best, but it's clear English is not her first language, and she struggles with the dialogue quite a bit. This is Alec Baldwin's film debut, if you don't count TV movies, which this DVD doesn't. This mentions it's his first screen appearance, which is obviously wrong. He's been on screens before, just not in a feature film capacity. Deborah Harry sits around on a stoop, walks around, just missing out on bumping into Elaine. She's barely in this film. It's basically like they filmed all her stuff in one day, and at the end of the film she has 2 lines. 45 minutes into the film, she meets up with Larry, played by Paul Gleason from The Breakfast Club. She's desperate for help at this point, and piles on the exposition.
You told me I could always count on you, and I really needed somebody to talk to.
Elaine, this is really inappropriate.
I know. But I waited for you 6 years because you promised you'd divorce her. You had just to break it to her slowly, and then her father died and left her the business.
Elaine.
Robert, I'm in big trouble.
Elaine's character is very sympathetic, and there are a lot of points where you go, oh man, she's having a rough time. The amount of times she's robbed carelessly. One man is robbing her, and she catches him in the act, and she says, "That's a black and white television." And in disgust, he throws it on the floor and it breaks. So he would rather have it broken than actually just return it to her and do a human thing. This is a real cesspool look at New York City. Elaine is very poor. She doesn't have an iron, so she irons with a light bulb, which really tells you her weird priorities. She also becomes suicidal during the film, and as she's casually holding a gun to her head, her best friend calls and tells her she's got a guy for her. Now, her best friend spends the entire film telling her she just needs a man and she just needs to get laid. Very two-dimensional. Through a series of events, she finds herself in an apartment that quickly becomes a crime scene. Everyone is killed, piling up 4 bodies, and she takes a briefcase. When she eventually goes to the police about this incident, she becomes very rich and famous, and the publicity helps her launch her novel. She gets famous author friends and sees a new future ahead. Her ex Larry even wants her back, after she's rich and famous. However, her acting is very emotionless.
Darling, please don't do this to me. You can't. I've got all my stuff in the car. Honey, you need me. You need somebody to take care of you.
Take a hike, babe. Your history.
At one point, the police appear to be getting their information from a man on the street with a radio boombox. The cinematography here makes great use of the boobs and butts in the background, and sometimes frame the strippers in the foreground instead of Elaine. At one point, she goes to an S&M club for really no reason. It's one of those I'm looking for somebody type scenes where they weren't here, but why couldn't it be an S&M club? So Wayne Knight, aka Newman from Seinfeld, plays a sex slave in a small cameo. Alec Baldwin gets to play the hero and saves her at the end of the film. He does so in a way where he points a gun and the bad guys continue to just walk into his line of sight, and he shoots them one by one in a very straightforward and unimaginative shootout. Following him saving the day, he hooks up with her right there in the fish store, which must smell good, right near the dead bodies. This film is extremely forgettable, and you would never watch it if it didn't have Alec Baldwin or Deborah Harry, or you didn't like them. There appears to be a better Forever Lulu with Patrick Swayze, Melanie Griffith, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt from the year 2000. I haven't looked into how obscure that film is, but if you'd like that reviewed, hit me up in the comments. And subscribe to PodMe if you can for a new obscure film review every week.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Check out our podcast at www.podmeifyoucan.com.